Hey folks, this is Sevtap Savaş. I'm an advocate, cancer scientist, and professor at Memorial University of Newfoundland. This is a pre-recording of my talk to be delivered in June 2026 as part of the Canadian Institutes of Health Research Summer School on Sex and Gender. I am very excited to be talking about my advocacy saga and answer the question how I become an advocate. The answer to this is very, very simple. I became an advocate by working with patients and family members. And for example, Public Interest Group on Cancer. This is a group that we created and I have been leading since 2021, includes people affected by cancer, either patients, survivors, or their family members, caregivers. Some of the founders are shown here, my colleagues, as well as the people with lived experiences. They have been instrumental in converting me into an advocate. So these are some of our members and fantastic people. And they, after a while, are just like my family, So huge respect and appreciation for every member of this public group. Now, the Public Interest Group on Cancer, let me just say a little bit about this group. So we formed it in the 2021. As I said, we have been active since that day. We had two important initial aims. We wanted to have this public scientist partnership to focus on research and public engagement. In other words, we wanted to do conduct research studies, design and conduct studies on cancer in Newfoundland and Labrador, and also wanted to design and deliver public engagement and outreach activities on cancer together. But over time, it became very apparent that advocacy is a part of working with patients and family members, regardless of the patient partners that I have ever worked with, or regardless of the people that I've ever talked to who are diagnosed with cancer or had a family member who was diagnosed with cancer, they always advocate. They may not know this, but they always wish better conditions, better survival, better social, financial, and workplace rights and opportunities for the people affected by cancer. So they may not know it, or they may know it, but they always advocate for better conditions for the cancer patients. So advocacy became an important part of our activities naturally, just naturally, because of their interests. So how did we advocate? We advocated using a variety of tools, folks. For example, in 2022, we delivered a public conference on cancer in Newfoundland and Labrador, and we talk about a number of things that will benefit people, including cancer screening programs, and perspectives from cancer patients and family members, so that everybody can have this dialogue and learn from each other. And in 2024, we advocated for transgender individuals affected by cancer by, again, delivering a public event on their cancer experiences and needs. That's open another dialogue. And whatever we learned, we actually put it outside, either in the media articles like we have shown here, or in scholarly articles so that anybody can read it, including the academic and medical professionals. We were lucky to actually publish an open access and scholarly article every year as a public interest group on cancer. As I said, whatever we learned, we put it outside, and in every of these publications, we advocated. For example, our first publication is shown here, 2022. We advocated for patient priorities, including better support, equity in healthcare and other support programs, as well as patient empowerment. Later, we work on towards a public engagement roadmap to guide our and others' activities in this province. And we ask for better collaborations and better support so that we can reach out to more people, especially in terms of, for us, it was about cancer awareness, as well as awareness about cancer screening, importance of early detection, and so on. We also publish our learnings after we delivered our public conference on cancer. We said that, there are really good practices here, but there are also lessons learned. We advocated for more informal public events like this to exchange knowledge. And another one is, for example, we also are good at asking questions. For example, we ask whose responsibility is it to implement patient prioritized healthcare system change in oncology? Is it patients? Is it caregivers? Is it researchers? Is it medical professionals? Is it government? Whose responsibility is it to actually implement the changes that patients and family members would like? So we advocated in so many different ways, and overall, I think we have around 60 media articles, media interviews, as well as webinars, panels, and conference presentations about our work and advocacy. You can see some of these examples here. So we are very active in disseminating our work as well as advocating for better conditions for people. So this advocacy is really important. And the last thing I want to say about our activities is that we also launch our own podcast. Currently, we have 28 podcast episodes. It focuses on cancer again. And we have local, national, and international guests to speak about cancer care, and people's lived experiences. So take a look at our Spotify, and please listen to our podcast and let us know what you think. So finally, I also would like to say that we advocate at the government level through either in-person visits or through emails. We have done this a number of times together or myself. I appreciate our political candidates as well as the government officials for sparing time to meet with us, to listen to. And I really believe that these conversations are important because the more we bring the people's needs and preferences, the more dialogues at the government level can be made. So in short, folks, advocacy has been a surprising but a great path for me to follow. It's been actually very healing as well, because these are my sister and my mom, both were diagnosed with cancer. And I wasn't able to process this personally, but only through my professional work as a cancer scientist. But you know what? Working with other people who have family members affected by cancer, I was able to actually face this grief myself. So it's been very healing for me. And advocacy also has given me strength and provided a new meaning, seriously, to my life and scholarly activities. I hugely enjoy advocacy because it makes me very strong, and it makes me very, very proud of what I'm doing, what I'm able to do it, and why. So, so it's really, again, a great path for me. And the last part I want to tell you is that through advocacy, I also met with others who are interested in or who are doing advocacy locally or otherwise. And it was great because some of these folks are really awesome folks. And sometimes I was able to also support them so that we can create a stronger advocacy and advocacy network. So it has been really a great experience. But you may ask, like anything else in life, it's not always white. There are gray areas, there are black areas as a life experience. Is there a downside to advocacy, you may ask? And there are. So like anything else, like any other human experiences, you may experience any of these or maybe not. But I want to say that advocacy can be a long journey, especially at the beginning, because you are just trying to identify what your aims is, how you want to do this, what is the cause that you want to focus on. And sometimes you try to swim against huge waves. So it may feel really lonely, and you have to be strong in this phase. So you have to keep going, folks. And it can be emotionally taxing and sometimes re-traumatizing. In my case, I'm an advocate for cancer patients and families. As I have mentioned in the earlier slides, I also have family members affected by this disease. So talking about cancer, cancer-lived experiences, asking for better conditions, better support and awareness, etc., can be really re-traumatizing, and after a while can be really emotionally taxing. So you need to take care of yourself. That's okay, that's normal. And some other downsides of advocacy, some people will not appreciate your advocacy. They may be other advocates, they may be the people that you are advocating to, there may be people who are witnessing your advocacy, but they will not appreciate your advocacy. And that's okay. You know, we can't expect everyone to like what we are doing. We can't expect everyone to see whether this, or we can't expect everyone to feel like what we are doing is adequate. There will be always more causes, other causes to advocate for. So your advocacy may not look like sufficient to some people, and that's okay. There is only 24 hours in a day, so I believe that every advocate is doing their best, and it may not cover everything. So if anybody criticizes you or wants you to do more, take it as normal. That's fine. And sometimes, you know, you may also be bullied. People may want to advocate for them, for example, or if you are not advocating for them or their causes, it may get a little bit ugly. Again, don't worry about it. It's normal. Dialogue is important here. And your advocacy will piss some people off, absolutely, because you are asking for something and you are pointing to things that are not right or not sufficient with your advocacy. So this is going to, you know, make some people defensive. So these are all okay. These are all a part of advocacy. Nothing specific to you, nothing personal. It just is a part of another human experience. It's just a part of advocacy. So don't worry about it. But you need to be prepared to have this kind of downsides and experience this kind of downsides. That's okay. So as an advocate, maybe in the last 5 or 6 years, let me tell you a little bit about what I think are important here. I think the most important thing I want to tell you is that advocacy is constructive and it should be constructive. And what does this mean? It means we, as advocates, not only offer questions, things to improve, but also solutions. In other words, we not only say what needs to change, but why it needs to change and how it needs to change, because this way we can actually find some common ways and further dialogues to change things. I really believe that constructive advocacy is really important. And another recommendation I may share is that make sure to advocate for the right reasons. That means focusing on what you want to achieve, because there will be, as I said, other folks who would like you to advocate for their causes or with them, or you may feel like you are very, very pumped up, and that happens with me as well. Like I feel very fearless when I advocate, but it's really important that you advocate for the right reasons for whatever the cause you want to address. Use your leverage. So advocacy comes in so many different ways and forms, folks. Like, I mean, some of us are public figures now because we are visible on the public domain, but you know, not all advocates have to do that, and they don't. And advocacy comes in so many different ways. If you are good at speaking, that's great. If you are good at writing media articles, that's also awesome. But there are other ways to support advocacy, including sharing your wisdom, sharing your resources, or making connections, or just saying, you know, you are doing really good. Thank you so much. So all of these things help us to move forward, keep the momentum, keep the advocacy, and keep going. So anybody can be an advocate, and it can be in any form. So I want to be very clear about that. And as we have seen in the downsides of advocacy slides, you know, there will be negative reactions to your advocacy, or what you said, or what you do, or what you don't do as part of your advocacy. So just be ready to receive negative reactions, accept that this is going to happen, and we have to move on. This is nothing personal, as I've said earlier. So it's a part of the process. And once we accept it, that it will happen, it's easier. There is another mechanism that helps me to go through these negative experiences a bit better. And this is shown in the slide. To have values and principles that guide my advocacy, because they will help me go through these negative experiences easier. They did in the past. What are these values and principles? I have listed some of these things here, like fairness is really important to me, transparency, authenticity, respect for all, including for myself and for others, and we should be able to agree to disagree. This is really important in an advocacy. And focus on the people. Like for me, this is really important. My focus is always the cancer patients and families. So whenever I advocate for this and when something doesn't work or I get a negative reaction, or it comes back as a negative reaction to me personally, I just look at it. What did I do here? What was my aims? And then, being putting the patients first. This is what I do with my advocacy, and whatever the negative reactions I will get, it just says that you put the patients first, so that's all right, because other people will have other um, priorities, so they will not see what you are doing, and so on. So yeah, have some values, principles, base your actions, decisions, advocacy based on these values and principles. And when you have this structure, when something negative happens, you can examine it. And if it's based on your these values and principles, you will find some peace, and you will understand that this has nothing to do with you, and but everything that you valued. So that's going to make things a little bit easier for you. So advocacy, as I said, can be lonely and taxing emotionally. So you need to surround yourself with like-minded people and other advocates. That's really important, because even within the advocates, we have differences, right? So that's okay. So I was lucky that I actually was surrounded by people who shared the same goal with me. So that nurtured my soul, mind, and heart, and it really makes me stronger as an advocate. So this is one thing that I can recommend. And you need to take time to recharge yourself. You don't have to be advocating all the time. You can't advocate all the time. That's okay, because we have other personal and professional commitments as well. So, and it may be difficult for us to advocate all the time, or for the reasons that we talked before. So self-care is a must. Don't worry about it. When you can advocate, advocate. When you can't, that's okay. And keep going, folks. No matter what, just keep going. And consistently work on your advocacy, and visibility of your advocacy and its consequences are the key. So as we will see later, or maybe you already know, advocacy is a long process. So make it a lifelong adventure. So we may not get a response right away after 1 month or 1 year advocacy, but every venue, every conversation, every role, every person we met with, every person we have conversations with is an opportunity to advocate for our causes. And share what you learn. So most of us advocate just by experiential experience, which means that we learn by doing it. So, but there are a lot of lessons learned along the way, like the ones that I am sharing with you today. So it's always a good idea to share those and learn from others as well. So dialogue about advocacy among advocates and so on are also important, because we don't have to discover everything ourselves. We can actually adapt, learn, and make our advocacy easier and more effective and powerful. And support other advocates. Strengthen the advocacy seriously, because again, we are in this together. We are trying to swim against really big waves, whatever our causes are. whatever our advocacy are, but advocacy needs to, as a whole, as a community, needs to work together, stick together, and support each other. So folks, this is my last slide, a little bit dramatic, the color, but you know, the color of orange is the color of hope for me. So why hope? Advocacy is slow. Advocacy is slow, but it works. So we have to have this hope that one day we are going to change things. One day, everything we have done, every connections we have done, every conversations we have done, every cry or laughter we have had will lead to a change. We have to believe in this and we have to continue. With this, I want to say thank you for being with me today and hope that, you know, we will try advocacy, which is really an amazing experience. Thank you.